Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the sixth session of design tutorials. So, today we will be seeing about the typography, like the typography essentials, and it's one of our most important sessions. So, please pay attention, and I hope that I am able to provide you some value. And we'll be having a second session on typography on day after tomorrow as well, right? So, this is an important aspect of designing. So, I hope you guys learned something. Right, let's get started to IEEE NCO student branch. Perfect. So, as you can see, I have written this type effects on my Photoshop document. So, let's start from the very basics, right? So, you might be seeing that it is like floating in the air and it doesn't have any base kind of thing, right? So, let's just start and see. As you can see these three lines here, so this is the baseline for text, right? Every type, every text, every letter has a baseline on which it is sitting, right? So this text right now has this baseline, right? So everything is aligned to this baseline, and we have this topmost limit of this text and this lowermost limit, right? So this value here, like this height here, I would just draw a rectangle to show you that this height here, right, this is known as the cap height. This is known as the cap height, CAPHEIGST, right? And this line here, if I'll just draw one more guideline to show you, right? So this particular height here, this one, this is known as the X height. Not because of this letter, like generally in any typeface, it is known as this X height, like the normal height of these small letters. So these is known as the X height, and the height of capital letters, it is known as the cap height, right? And all the letters are sitting on the baseline. So if we see in this Y and this P, so this part here, I'll just select a brush, make a new layer. So this part here, this is known as the descender because it is descending from the baseline, right? And this part here, this is known as the ascender. That means it is ascending from the X height, and this is descending from the baseline, or you can say X height, any one of this, right? So I'll just write this down quickly. Every text sits on its baseline. There is cap height, X height, descenders, ascenders, right? So this is what we have learned till now, right? So let us move back to our document. So here we are. Next, what we have is the spacing. I'll just remove this as well, right? So we have this text, and now we see what options is Photoshop providing us regarding this text element. So we have the font style here, which everybody knows about, right? Next, we have some different families available in this font type. So this particular text is right now in Helvetica font, right? So Helvetica is a font family. What is a font family means that it has different kinds of fonts within it. So in this Helvetica font family, we have the extra condensed, ultra compressed, compressed, light condensed, oblique. So we have these different font styles within this Helvetica font family. So you can choose any one of them. So let's just choose bold as of now, right? Next, we have this size of the text, and you can see this is in PT, that means point. So the measurement of type or the text or the font is the, because like we measure our Photoshop documents or we measure different things, like each one of it has their own measurement unit. Like when we choose a new Photoshop document, we have to choose either pixels, inches, centimeters, millimeters. We have different options, right? But the text is measured in not in that system but in the point system, which is denoted by PT. So if I'll just tell you the basic conversion, it is 72 point equal to 1 inch. So you can use this conversion and just choose that which font size will suit your document, right? So this is a common conversion rate which you should know about, that 72 point is 1 inch. So I'll just hide this, and now we will be looking at the different standard sizes of the font, right? So there are some standards said that if you have to use the font in heading, that should be of like this much particular kind of height. So let me just tell you that it is 120 points. After that we have 96 points, then we have 72 points, and post that we have 48 point, 24, 12, and after 12 you can like choose 10, 9, 8, 7. That doesn't matter much, right? So I'll just categorize them. So we have these standard font sizes. Like these were the standard font sizes when there were, you know, printers and sorry, the traditional printers and the typewriters, because they in typewriter they had a particular size of each plate, I would say, for each letter. So they had some standard sizes, and these are those. And I'll just now categorize them. So these are used for the headings, right? And these are for the subheadings, and these are for the text body, and these are for the footers. So, like these days, we have all of these things digital and we do in our computer. So there is not much difference like which font size do you choose, like whether you choose 110 or you may choose 80, 90, 95, 100, anything. But like if you can't really like think about which font size to choose in particular situation, so this is the common thing which you can follow. Like you can just choose your headings of 120 or 98 points, and then you can choose accordingly. And maybe after that you can simply resize them from their dragging handles so that their proportion remains same, right? So these are some of the common font sizes that we generally use, right? So let me just write it down in our document. Font is measured in points, PT, right? 72 point equal to 1 inch. Then we have categories of sizes, I would say standard sizes, right? What those are: 120, 96, 72. Then we have 48 and 36. Then we have 24, 12, and so on. So these are for the headings, these are for the subheadings, this is for the text body. Right, so let's just save it and move back to our document. Okay, cool. So let's just bring that back. Right, so we are back with our type effects, and let's see what else do we have. So as you can see, we have this next property. So we will cover it later in our tutorial, because right now we don't have a body of text, right? We have just one plain simple line. So until we have a body of text, this won't really apply, right? Next we have this is growth. So as you can see, we have this optical and matrix. We have two options. So what this does is, this defines the space between the letters, right? Whether it has to be metric or whether it has to be optical. So what does metric mean? Metric means that they are according to the font size, like the standard font which is there, which has been made and has been installed in your computer. So metric is according to that, right? But what does optical mean? So as you can see, this T has its extension, if you would say. Like, apart from this horizontal branch, it has its extension, right? Now F doesn't have, like, F has a little bit of extension, and Y has this downward extension and a little bit of, if we see the left hand side extension. So what this optical do is, optical makes everything, like, it should look with similar distance according to the eye. Optics means eye, right? So it should look evenly distributed to the eye, but not according to the metrics. Metrics means that each of the letter has a specified distance between them, that it doesn't change. But optical means that it is refined as per the eye, that eye should feel that all of them are evenly spaced. So if I just type O here, and I'll just do this, right? So it is changing its width accordingly. So this isn't much used if you would make your regular posters, like, unless you are making something designed for a startup, like, or a company maybe, like, who are very much particular, or maybe you have some design agency for which you are designing. So they would particularly ask you that you have to keep it metric or optical. But if you see generally, like, it doesn't matter much. Next we have the spacing of the letters again. So this time we can choose it ourselves, right? If I specify -100, so you can see the distance has been decreased between each of the letter. So we had this. So this space which has been reduced just now, and if I'll just increase it again, I'll just, so this is 0, this is the default of the font, right? If I just do it 75, you can see it has increased, and if I choose -75, it has decreased. So this particular property of the text is called the kerning, Kerning. Kerning. Kerning means the distance between individual letters, right? The distance between individual letters is known as kerning. So let us just write it into our document. It's known as, right guys. So let us just move back to our Photoshop document. So we have seen kerning. Now let's just jump to the alignment of the text. So I'll just make a new text box, right? So we have this text. So this is a very funny thing about this. So as you can see this dummy text known as lorem ipsum. This is used across the designing industry, right? If you just want to place a dummy text or a sample text anywhere in your document, you can use this lorem ipsum. So you can go to even net also and you can write lorem ipsum generator, and it can give you a generated lorem ipsum text of whatever number of characters or paragraphs do you want. So it can generate accordingly, but Photoshop has certain limit that it generates only that many characters of the lorem ipsum text. So right now I have this lorem ipsum text, and I'll just make it normal, right? I don't want it bold, and I'll just increase its size a little bit so that you can see. Next, what I'll do is I'll make its kerning to default, because right now it's very much tight space, Yeah, so this looks more good now because it's, so we have this text, right? Let's just place it in center. So we have this text. This is a body text. Now, what properties does this kind of text have? Like earlier we saw one line, but now we have a multi-line text. So what about this? So first of all, this is the alignment. I'm sure you guys already know about it. So we have this left alignment, center alignment, right alignment. Next we have is left justified. So it is okay. Let's just infuse it, right. So the left alignment is also known as right ragged. That means on the right hand side it is ragged. It is not in one line, or it is, you can call it left aligned. That means on the left side it is in one line, right. Similarly, if you say right align, you can say it left ragged. That means on left side it is ragged, or it is not, it is uneven, and on right side it is even in one line, and we have the center. Whenever you make a poster or a document, always prefer to keep your text left aligned, because that is the general alignment that we are accustomed to read, right? Always keep it left aligned. If you are ever confused, use left aligned. It won't look bad. Like even if you place a left aligned text in the center of the document, right? So I'll just make it left aligned. Okay. So as you can see, I have made this text left aligned, and it is in the center of the document, but still it is looking good to read, right? Because our eyes are accustomed to reading the left aligned text. So always try to keep it left aligned. Right is very much rarely used unless your design asks for it, like you have some image here and you can't use your text on left side, so you have to keep it right. So the right aligned is fine, but try to minimize its use because it is not easily readable to the eyes. That is the problem. Otherwise there is no problem, but the only problem is that it is a little bit difficult to read, right? And one thing we have here is justified text. So you see, what did this justification do? It has made the text body into a block. It is even from left as well as right side. So you can see it has generated a lot of gap between these letters. So to prevent it, you can use left and justified. That means justified on the right side, like the main alignment has to be left, but it has to be justified, right? So you see here it is justified, and what the text which has to be, like the text which is less in the space from the actual width, so it has been left aligned. Also justified text, like even if you use this kind of text, this is readable. Like right now I have a very small paragraph, so it's readable, but it is not advisable to use justifiable text if you are making some magazine sort of thing, or you have just a pretty much big body of text. It is not at all advisable to use justified text, because what does justifiable text do, that it has an even less on the right side and the left side as well. So you see, when you are reading, when your eyes are moving, so it won't be easy for the eye to detect the end of the line. That is the main problem with the justified text. So the best alignment which you can do for your text is left aligned or right ragged. This is the best alignment that you can do for your text, be it any kind of text. Unless you have some limitations of your design or your document, please choose this right ragged or left aligned. So now we will just write this into our document. Alignment left aligned or right ragged, enter, right aligned or left ragged, justified. Right, always preferable. So left aligned or right ragged is always and always preferable. So we are back to our document. So you remember this property which we had left earlier. So let's cover this now. So what do we have now is, I'll just remove these enter. Okay. So we have this text. Yeah. So I'll just increase its size. Right. We have this text. So what was that property about? That property is called the leading of the text. Leading. Right. So what does leading mean? The leading means that the space between the lines of your text, right? So right now it is set to auto. So as you can see, if I just make it 9 points, what does this do? This decreases the space between the text, right? And I'll just make it 24 points, so it will increase the space. So neither a very much reduced space nor a great amount of space is recommended. If auto seems good to you, that is perfect. Or even if you want to increase, right, so you can just increase it a little bit, that it is readable to the eyes. So what happens is, if you just increase your leading very much, so I'll just make it 36 pixels, and as you can see, if I'm reading this text, if you are reading this text, it's very difficult for your eyes to reach the next line after this ending of the line, right? It has to search. So right now we have a very much small text, but in case of large text, it will be very difficult for the eyes. And if you just reduce it, it will become even more difficult. Like you would have read some books, I'm sure, like some novels or your books in your school. Those have some very tight leading, and it is very much difficult to read that when you reach the end of one line and you just start the other line by skipping one line in the middle. So that is the problem with the leading if you don't use it correctly, right? Always try to keep it to auto, and that is according to the font which has been specified by the installer, right? If you want to increase, you can increase, but make sure it is readable. Because what is the purpose of the text? The purpose of the text is to help the user to understand the words, right? So if not the user, if the user cannot understand what is written, so what is the purpose? Like it doesn't fulfill the purpose, right? That is what is there about the typography. You have to make sure it is readable. That's the only thing. That's the only thing. So there's one very important tip for your lettering, right? So if I'll just select this text, you can see we have this black highlighting and there is this white space between them. So using this you can judge your leading. Right now it's auto, so you see there is a little bit of white space, and I'll just increase the leading. So you see there is too much white space, and if I'll just reduce the leading, it is overlapping, like we don't have even white space. So by selecting the text you can judge its leading. So if I'll just choose 12, you can see there is still little bit of white space. So it would look good, it won't look bad, and auto has just a little bit more than that. That is the only difference. Like you can simply text, like select your text, and you can see if the black part is overlapping, you need to increase your leading, and if it has too much white space between the lines, you need to reduce your leading. So let us just write this in our document. Space between the lines of text. Auto is preferred. Don't make it too much small or large. The text should be readable, right? Okay. Select the text and see the space between black highlights. That is the tip. So I'll just, it's already, we have 30 minutes, right? So the last thing which I want to talk about is like it is a precursor to our next session, right? So it is very important that what kind of feeling does your text give, right? So we haven't even talked about the font types today, so we'll be covering it in the next session, right? So let me just type it down, the connotations of text. Right? What does your text signify? What kind of feeling does your text gives to the user or the reader? Right? So that is the connotations and the font types, and we will see different examples. So just to give you a bit recap to our next session, right? So this is a very good example that I always love, right? So I'll just write premium watches. right? So I have this text, right? I have this text premium watches, and just imagine like, or let me just have a photo from the net, premium watch images. Mm, okay, let's go with this one. Copy, paste, right? So we have this photo of a premium watch. So let's just imagine we are making some kind of a poster for a watch company, right? So we have this product image and we need to write premium watches. So as the background is black, we will use the white text, right? So we have this white text and let us just flip it horizontal so that our text is on the left side, and I'll just make them in different lines, reduce the watch size, and as you can see I have written this premium watches. So I know you can't talk, right? But just answer to yourself that does it look premium to you? Like, does this appeal to you that it is, yes, this is really premium, right? It doesn't appeal to me, right? Because like I can't feel anything with this text, right? So what I'll do now, first of all, I'll make them all caps, right? So this somewhat gives a feel of premium, right? So one other thing which I'll do is I'll increase their kerning, right? I'll increase it more and I'll just reduce its size a little bit so that has it is easily visible, and I'll just make it 400. Okay, let's even make it more. And I'll just increase its, you see, like this certainly gives a feeling of a little bit more premiumish, right? But the earlier text didn't give. So the way which you use your text is very much important, right? So just by increasing a little bit of kerning and increasing a little bit of leading, you can say it is giving us a premium look. But earlier, if I'll just have it here and I'll just copy it and I'll make it okay, zero, auto, and not make it all caps and just have this, so you can yourself pretty much judge that what looks premium to you. Does this look premium to you or does this look premium to you, right? So that is what text can do to your posters and your images or your posters and your art stuff. That is why it is very much important that you have a good sense of typography. So that was pretty much it for our today's session. Tomorrow we'll be seeing about, as I have already specified, where is this? Yes, connotations of text. We have just seen example like how what emotions does your text arise in the user's mind, font types and different examples, just like this one. So if you have any questions, you are free to ask, and I'll just leave it to premium only. Okay, yes. So this is our premium watch collection. Okay, there are so many comments. We are ready on Steve Photograph items. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask. There isn't really any question in the chat box. So if you guys have any genuine question, please feel free to ask. And meanwhile, I'll just update the text file. So I'll be sharing this text file in the group. So don't no worries on that, right? If you guys have any questions, please ask me. Can we design a poster with full text only? Absolutely, Prashant, you can design a poster with full text. Let me just give you an example. Using different fonts and sizes. No, not using different fonts, but by using the same font but different styles, right? So we talked about the font family, right? So you have this Helvetica font family. From that family, you can choose bold, italics, Roman, oblique, bold, condensed, bold, compressed. So you can choose same font from different font family, and using that, you should design your poster. It's very much difficult to match up two fonts that whether they would look good or not on a particular poster. So if you're a beginner, I would highly recommend that use only one single font on your poster. Like just play with the sizes, designs, italic, oblique, color, but please use one single font. So I was just showing to Prashanta, where is that? So I'll just miscellaneous. We Let me just find that one. Yes, this is the one. So I'll just bring it in Photoshop only to show you. Mm, mm, Yeah, so this was the one. As you can see, it only has the logos and rest all is text. And this is one single font style, not too many font styles, only one single font style. I've just played with the colors and like just use this rectangle here and a rectangle here, right? So just to give it a more, you know, con contemporary look, I've just changed this X of different font style so that it looks good and just gives some kind of feel, right? So any more questions are welcomed. This is purely text-based poster, right? We will be seeing many more tomorrow. So day after tomorrow, like how to exactly use the text in your designs and how to make or apply different styles to text. What all things can you do with the text and its different connotations? Thank you for your conversation. Okay, guys, so let's end this session now. I'll be sharing the text file in the group so that everyone can go through it, and we'll meet day after tomorrow with our typography part 2. Till then, take care. Bye bye.